How's it going, everybody? My name is Artorigold, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the really cool changes we might be seeing on the PTR in the future, probably pretty soon, that was mentioned by some game designers. I believe the name of the game designer was Joshua No, and he was on Sure4 stream over at Blizzard headquarters recently, and they were going back and forth, and they kind of talked about a few balance changes, and Joshua basically revealed some things that they tried, that they didn't like, and some things that probably will be going forward and that we should be seeing on the PTR pretty soon. So first off in the stream, it was said that Doomfist changes were definitely coming, and he was definitely more specific about what kind of changes they were looking to do to Doomfist, and some of the ones that they went with and ones that they didn't. So the very first thing that they were looking at with Doom was actually, they had his rocket punch distance whenever he had his jump right after the rocket punch. They tried reducing that extra distance. Now, they didn't really like that change, so that was an interesting idea, but I think holding down the spacebar right after using your right-click punch and trying to use it to try and get a little bit of extra momentum, it kind of felt really nice to do that on Doomfist. It kind of felt like you were being rewarded when doing it, and I definitely agree with that. So that was one of the changes that they tried out. They kind of nerfed the distance by, I think, 40% is what they said, but while they were testing it out, it said it just didn't feel right, and it didn't really feel as good, and I definitely agree with that change. I think there are a lot of other things you can do to Doomfist, and although they are looking at very small changes that hopefully will have bigger effects in the future, they're not trying to go crazy and just get all these humongous nerfs on Doomfist to the point where he's just not even playable. They're really just looking to try and do a bunch of little small tweaks here and there, hopefully trying to see what is going to just make an overall difference, but not put him in a place where he's completely unplayable. So the changes that they decided to go with is on his E, his seismic slam, they reduced the range from 20 to 15 meters. Now this has a lot of changes with it, not just initially you're going to get that 5 meter drop off on the range of your E. Already, that's pretty huge. It's a small thing, but basically it makes his engages a little bit more difficult, a little bit more rough, and his disengages just the same. But there's also another consequence to that. The damage that is done by seismic slam is actually going to be reduced too, because when you're using your E, you'll see a little number, and basically how long you're in the air, the maximum air time or maximum distance time is going to make that number go up, and that number is basically just the damage that is being done. So the longer you have your E out, so if it goes really far, then you're going to have the maximum damage for the E, which was 86. But now that they're reducing the range, that makes the maximum damage on the E 65. So in other words, if you're going to engage with your E, that means you get a lot less damage on your combo, meaning that there's probably some potential for the enemy to kind of survive from your damage depending on what your follow-up is. And then even if you commit that follow-up, you might commit too many cooldowns and you might not be able to escape afterwards. So there's a lot of different things to take notice with that. And not only that, they're also going to be nerfing his uppercut. Now, this is kind of a very small nerf on the uppercut. What's going to happen is any enemies or victims are going to be losing their air control whenever they get hit by the uppercut. So their change is they're reducing the amount of time where they don't have control of their character, making it for 0.6 seconds. Basically, they're making it so whenever you get hit by the uppercut initially, when that knock-up is happening at the very beginning, that's going to be the 0.6 seconds where you don't have control. And then as soon as you reach maximum height, that's when you can kind of strafe in the air, which is really great. Now, usually when you get hit by an uppercut with Doomfist, you just lose complete control of your character, and it's super easy for Doomfist to land every single one of his left-click shotgun into you because you're just going to sit there in the air, and he knows where you're going to fall or land, and then he can also just follow up more abilities on you too if you're not dead from that. So being able to control your character in this situation is going to feel way better for the person or the victim of the uppercut, and at the same time, it's not impossible for Doomfist to continue to do damage to that target as well. It's just a little bit easier for the enemy to be like, alright, I'm going to be able to hit AD or something. I'm going to be able to strafe and maybe move a little bit out of the way. I can maybe control where I'm going to land. This can also come into play in an environmental kill situation. If the enemy was about to get hit off the map, he could kind of strafe towards the map or towards the edge a little bit more and maybe even save himself that way. Overall, these are two very small changes that actually mean a lot for Doomfist. This isn't by no way going to make Doomfist completely unmeta. He's still going to be insanely strong. I mean, Doomfist still has a one-shot ability on a 4-second cooldown. There's no way that that's not going to just stay completely strong. His engage is still really good, even though it's been nerfed by 5 meters. It's still very easy to pull off, and the uppercut is still just as strong, and you're still able to land shots on the opponent, but now the opponent is just feel a little less frustration when it happens to them. I know it's very frustrating, especially as me, if I'm on Zenyatta and I get uppercutted. The Doomfist doesn't even need to do anything else. He just uppercuts me and then bam, 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 shoots me 4 times and then I'm dead. So this allows me to have a little bit of control where I'm able to maybe disengage or maybe move around like a line of sight or something like that and maybe dodge the shots of the Doomfist. Either way, this is a really big change for Doomfist. It's not going to be like entirely overpowering, oh my god, Doomfist is nerfed. That's not going to happen at all. But it is going to make him a little bit more fair. I still think he could probably get a little bit more nerfing, but I might just be biased because I've been punched by Doomfist a little too much. And I hate it. I hate getting punched by Doomfist. It sucks. Getting one-shot by Doomfist is a miserable feeling, but I don't think that's going to go anytime soon, so I'll take these nerfs with a smile on my face. So, next character, this is actually a really interesting and very unexpected change. They're actually buffing Bastion. This is weird. I wasn't expecting this. I mean, Bastion is a very niche pick, similar to like Torbjorn and Symmetra. They have their place. They're good on some situations, right? But I think Bastion is much better than a Symmetra. I think Bastion has a really strong place on Junkertown currently, especially when comboed with a Orisa and a Roadhog. Just a lot of potential. But now we're going to see some pretty crazy changes. I actually really like these. It might make Bastion a lot more viable on other maps. So what they're doing to Bastion is not his turret form, but what you call it when he's just like walking around is his recon form, I suppose. That's what people call it anyways. So in his recon form, his clip size is going to be increased from 25 bullets to 35. So his regular primary weapon, while he's not in turret form, gets 10 more bullets to the clip. That's kind of good. I like that. I mean, why not, right? You're not going to spend too much damage on your left click, but occasionally you probably will. And if you're playing a more mobile Bastion, if you're not even using your time to reload, and I think a good Bastion player probably doesn't even reload. Instead of reloading, he just changes forms, does the other damage from his other gun, and then transforms again, and that's basically his reload time, is his transform time. And that's what Bastion is going to do, and this makes it a lot better, so he's going to have a lot more damage, and he doesn't have to waste any time reloading or anything. You're definitely going to have some more damage potential as Bastion with that, but that's not all. The biggest change of all, which I'm actually really curious to see how this works in-game once it hits PTR, but what they're going to do is they're making Bastion's Sentry mode, his minigun and turret mode is going to get a reverse spread effect. In other words, this means the longer Bastion is shooting, the more accurate his shots become. Now this is crazy. It's kind of like you have Bastion and then you're rewarded for being able to hold down left click. I mean, that sounds really good on paper. It's going to make Bastion do so much more damage, or at least make him so much more accurate on medium to longer range targets. With having less spread, it means that you're going to have more damage potential on targets up close too. It's also going to just make you so much more difficult and so much more dangerous. And I'm really curious to see how it's going to work. Is it going to be a really slow charge or build up? Because, I mean, you have 150 bullets inside your clip. So is it going to start to activate, like if you're holding down left click nonstop, is it going to start to activate once you go down 50 bullets, go down to 100 bullets? I mean, I don't know where it's going to start, but I'm going to guess that it's probably going to be around the halfway mark, right? I'm not going to say the reverse spread effect is going to immediately activate on Bastion. We're not sure when it's going to start to activate, but I can assume it's going to be a few seconds into the clip before it really does, and it's going to make Bastion all around a lot more powerful. And Bastion's already pretty good on Junkertown, so I'm going to think that Bastion might be more valuable on other maps as well. Right now, Bastion is pretty much limited to Junkertown offense, maybe defense, sometimes that's okay. And another good way to use Bastion is in an overtime situation. You'll have the flex support character, and he's going to swap to Bastion while the enemy team is fighting on the point on overtime. A Bastion's all of a sudden is going to be in a corner, just laying bullets down on people onto the cart because the enemy team doesn't want to get off of it because it's overtime. And if you're on a Bastion at really far range and you're just nailing the cart in that situation, that's a lot of damage output. And of course, if there's any damage coming your way, you can just heal it or move to a different situation. You have the luxury of kind of making it so the enemy team is forced to deal with you or try to hide behind the cart or something, depending on whatever the line of sight is. So this is going to make Bastion so much better in those overtime situations, and it might even make it more viable on other payload maps. I think Bastion is definitely a payload map kind of character. He works really well going on offense and kind of doing that pirate ship strategy. I don't think he works really well on King of the Hill. 2 CP, maybe you can get away with it, but overall he's definitely going to be limited to payload maps and overtime situations. I think that's where he's going to really shine, and these things are definitely going to make him better, but I don't think he's going to be good enough to where I would run him on every map. But definitely more maps, especially when we get to the specifics of the reverse spread and how much of an effect it's actually going to have. It can also be really good at just killing Pharahs in the air too. I mean, sometimes Pharahs can get really far away from a Bastion and your fall off damage isn't really able to kill her, but with the accuracy, it could make that just pretty good hit scan option too. So yeah, I'm really excited to see these changes, and I'm not going to see Bastions everywhere, but I'm pretty sure people are going to start picking up on Bastion and start playing him a lot more with this pick. I can see on the competitive level, the higher SR level, people definitely making Bastion comps on Junkertown a must. Some teams try to get away with Bastion and run a double sniper, have Hanzo and Widow flank from different angles on Junkertown, but I think this is really going to make Bastion relevant again on that map, and others as well. So I'm really excited to see that. So for the last character change that was talked about on Surefour's stream is a buff to McCree, everybody's favorite cowboy. The Fan the Hammer damage, his right click, is actually going to be increased by 10 damage per shot. Wow, that's going to be, I mean, that means a lot. 10 damage per shot. So obviously, let's do some quick math with this and maybe get down to the specifics. You have a Fan the Hammer, it does 6 bullets, and it has each shot at 45 damage if you're up close and personal. When you're further away, then the fall off damage starts to apply. But either way, so you have 45 damage times 6, that's 270 damage. So now with the buff, that makes it 55 damage per bullet, so 55 times 6, that's 330 damage. Meaning instead of 270, we're now at 330, meaning a total DPS increase of 60 for that right-click combo. This means a lot. It's going to mean that barriers are going to go down quicker, it means armor is going to go down quicker, it makes one-shots on characters that normally can maybe get away from the right-click. Brig, for example. Actually, maybe I should go into that a little bit. So one of the things about the right-click, it's going to kill somebody at close range, but there are a lot of things that can happen that make that right-click not viable on a target. For example, the bullets could miss on someone who has a really small hitbox if you're not close enough, like on a Mercy or an Ana. If you're like further away, the Fan the Hammer might miss a bullet, and that's going to mean that you actually miss out on the kill. So that sucks. Here's another thing, the 270 damage doesn't always kill the Brigitte at close range. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. There's a lot of reasons why a lot of pros will left click the person's head after stunning them instead of going in for the Fan the Hammer, and normally that's because there's a lot of things that can stop the kill potential of Fan the Hammer because there is a little bit of time before they actually die because they still have to get 6 bullets in them, right? So what's going to happen? The enemy team can heal, Brig can hit E, maybe they're affected by Brig armor, someone can do something to move him or boop you even out of the way so your shots start missing. There's a lot of things that can happen that can make a right click miss, and doing 1 bullet with the left click on someone's head compared to the full duration of the 6 bullets of the right click, I mean the left click is a lot better in most situations. But with these buffs, I think that changes everything. You're gonna right-click all the time. I mean, why not? Right-click does so much burst damage, and you have the reduced cooldown on his roll recently too, right? So that's like 6 seconds instead of 8. So now you can right-click, roll, right-click, and that's 330 plus 330. That's 660 damage. That's insane burst damage on a tank. Imagine a Winston dives on you. You just flashbang, right-click, roll, right-click. That's 660 damage with both right-clicks that they land. And then you have the flashbang damage on top of that too. What's that, like 20, 25 damage, depending on armor? So yeah, you get a lot of damage potential out with this, and it's going to completely make you like the defensive peel character that I think McCree is really being defined into. I think once Ashe is released, Ashe is going to kind of take over what McCree is, which is that mid-range hit scan and really strong burst damage potential. Ashe is going to do that better, and I think what's going to happen to McCree is he's going to be like in the backline peeling and maybe I mean, a lot of teams already are comboing a Brig with McCree, and they're just having a hard peel, double stun, right click, you know, you get the Brig stun, you get the McCree stun, and you just burst damage and stun whoever dives first onto the backline, and that's the strategy that a lot of teams are running with McCree and Brig right now, and this makes it even stronger. I think this is going to make McCree a really strong defensive character. I think you can play him a lot more peeling kind of type of character. The right click damage is huge. I think in a lot of situations some characters would live through a right click. For example, a Brig with 250 health plus the armor, and then she has her like rally, and then you have the passive such as Inspire. Typically it would be like a really bad idea to try and go and right click a Brig if she's at full HP, especially if there's someone nearby and someone's able to heal her, or if she's just able to heal herself. It's pretty unreliable to be able to kill the Brig, even with the headshot damage and even with the fan the hammer. It was not consistent enough. This makes it so McCree can kill Brig extremely efficiently, and also kill Brig like so much more consistently too, right? So the damage potential is insane with McCree. I love it. I think McCree is going to be feeling a completely different place in the game. He's not going to be this like burst damage powerhouse that can kill you from like mid to short range. I think he's going to be in more of a short range backline protector kind of role, and his high noon is still kind of garbage, but I think people are kind of trying to just deal with that. I think High Noon is more of a zoning tool that you can maybe combo with a Lucio speed boost at the moment. Other than that, maybe you kill a Pharah Mercy in the air. That's pretty much all High Noon does, but this right click potential is huge for McCree. I'm really happy to see this. Overall, in summary for this PTR, if these things hit the PTR, I would like to see what happens with them, if they change the numbers, or maybe they blow us away and do something completely different than what was said on stream. But I actually really like these changes. I think they're very fair. I don't think they're too broken. I don't think that Doomfist is getting nerfed too hard, and I don't think Bastion and McCree are going to get buffed so hard that they're going to be like must picks. I still think that they're in a bad spot currently on live, so I think all of these changes are going to completely balance them. I actually have really high hopes for this PTR, and I'm really excited to see how it's going to happen, how it's going to be executed, and maybe what changes are going to happen before live. Maybe we'll see the damage come down a little bit on McCree. I could actually see them, instead of 10 damage every shot, I could see them maybe making it like 5 or 7 damage per shot. I would like to see that personally. I think maybe 10 damage could be a little too much. I do think if you roll back the numbers just a little bit on that, it'll still be enough to make McCree stronger, but not so much where it might make tank players start feeling like really crappy, right? Like if you're Winston and you dive a McCree, you know, if he just right clicks, roll right clicks, and does 660 damage to you, and you only got 500 health, I mean, that sucks, right? You don't want that to happen to you if you're a tank, so I am curious to see how that's going to play into things. Maybe they can nerf the damage a little bit on that. I do think Fan the Hammer is going to be a lot better on barriers. If there is a Winston bubble or an Orisa shield, you can definitely break those really easily with right click, so I do like that. That's a lot of damage there. Anyways, that's all for this video. I definitely think that McCree is going to have a really crazy spot on higher level teams as a defensive peel character now. I think he'll be really strong in that. I'm really excited to see what happens on the PTR when these things hit, and I'm curious to see if anything is going to change, and maybe they'll add some more stuff to it. I don't know. Either way, I'm really excited. Thanks so much for watching, guys. That's all I have for today. I'll see you guys next time.